Greetings, Earthlings. Today we are going to be doing lesson 5.1, and you already did the learning part of it in class, so we're going to go over the independent practice. But first, I want to show you some examples. So we're learning about positive and negative integers. Those are numbers. And we're learning, I'm going to show you an example of positive and negative with respect to sea level, how high or above or below sea level you are. So let's look at an example. Okay, so here we are looking at sea level. And as you can see here, this line here, that's sea level. So anything above here is above sea level, and this is below sea level. So here I have a little bird flying, la 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 la. Right now he is at, let's put him nice even 50 meters above sea level. So we would call that plus 50 or just 50, right? It's positive 50. Now he's going to dive below and look for some fish. And now he is 20 meters below sea level. We say below sea level, but look, it's really minus 20. So if he's sitting right on the water, right there, he's right at sea level, which means he's floating on the water. He's at 0 meters below. Dives under to catch a fish. He's at negative 28. So it's 28 below is the same as negative 28. Then he flies back up in the sky, and look how high up he is. He's 80 meters above sea level. Okay, now we have this girl, and she's walking over here. She's at 55 meters above sea level. She's on the mountain here above sea level, so her number would be 55. Then she jumps off. Woo! Now she's flying in a parachute. And look, the wind is bringing her up. She's 80 meters above sea level. That means her number is 80, positive 80. And then, oh no, her parachute's broken. She's falling, splash. Right now she's at 0. She's swimming on the surface at sea level. Luckily she's a scuba tank because she's going down, 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 40, 50 meters below sea level. Now the water pressure is really getting to her. 60 meters below sea level. That's really deep. And I think she's bit the dust now. 76 meters below sea level is not a happy place to be. And that's where our little fish is. He's at negative 54, right? 54 below sea level is minus or negative 54. And he sees the girl and he starts eating her, because that's what happens when you go too deep in the water and you run out of air. Okay, so if I were to compare these right now, the girl is at negative 71. And if you look up here, negative 71 is less than negative 41, right? So here's our fishy. And you would think, oh, 71, that's a bigger number than 41, but that's not true. If you look on this scale, the girl is at the red, which is negative 71, which is lower or less than the fish, which is the blue one, at negative 41. So it's a really important thing to understand. Negative 71 is smaller or less than negative 41. Okay, so now let's look at this world map with some thermometers on it. In location A, here we are, location A, let's put a nice easy 50. Here we are somewhere in California, and it's 50 degrees right now in California. That's 50 degrees. But if I come over here, Australia, which is at letter B, it's 90 degrees. So what is the temperature difference between Australia, which is B, and California, which is A? Well, you do 90 minus 50. So that is a difference of 40 degrees. But now let's come down here, letter C, which is this blue one way over here in Russia. We're in northern Russia, and there it's minus 20 degrees. That's very cold. So what is the temperature difference between California and Russia? Well, here we are, California. We have you would do 50 minus negative 20. So the difference between them is, what's the difference between 50 and 0? Well, to get from 50 to 0, that's 50 degrees difference. And from 0 to minus 20, that's 20 degrees difference, right? So you have 50 plus 20. So it is 70 degrees colder in Russia, or 70 degrees warmer in California. Okay, last example. Here we have a piggy bank. There's no money in it. Let's put some money in. Ching, 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 ching. All right, we're putting a bunch of money in. We have $10 in the piggy bank. So our balance is 10 or plus 10 or positive 10. Now I'm going to give some money away. I take $5 away out of the piggy bank. So now our balance is just 5. We only have $5 left. If I take 5 more dollars, we're back down to 0. But guess what? I want to buy something, but I don't have any money, so I'm going to borrow some money. So look what's in my piggy bank. Now I have negative $8 in my piggy bank. Isn't that sad? Which means I don't have any actual money, but I owe somebody money. So I have negative $8. This is how my bank account looks at the end of the month sometimes before I get paid. Negative $8. So now if I get paid $10, how much money will I have? I go from -8 and I'm adding $10 in it. Well, I should have, oops, sorry, let's have -8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have $2. Very good. All right, everybody. So now let's open up our books to page 349. 349. And we're going to do the independent practice. We did the other parts that came before this, a guided practice in class. So now you're going to try this. So write an integer, that means a number with a positive or negative sign. Write an integer for each situation and explain the meaning of 0 in each situation. So what would 0 be? So number 1, try this. 3 miles below sea level. What do you think that would be? Ready, go. Right, so what you should have put for this one is, should have put it's -3. 3 miles below sea level is -3, and 0 equals sea level, right? That means you're floating on the water. You're not really above it or below it. All right, now earning $45. Here's a good word to learn, earning. That means you're getting $45. So what would that be? Ready, go. Okay, so you should have put, it would be plus 45, and 0 would mean, so here 0 equals no money, which means also sad face. All right, so now here you are on a game board, or you could also think of it as a football field or something like that. You're moving back 5 spaces. So what integer would that be? Ready, go. All right, so that would be -5, right? Oops, sorry, my 5's bad. And what would 0 be in this situation? 0 would be, 0 equals no, not moving. Great, let's try some more. All right, cool. So now we're on number 4 and 5, where we're going to have to graph some things in here. So it says graph each integer or set of integers on the number line. So here we have a number line. We have to graph -5. So it's up to us how we label this, but we want it to make sense. So I would label this as, I'd put -5 here. And if this, oh my gosh, if that's -5, then this would be -4, -3, -2, -1. And then what would be here? 0 and then +1. So -5, you would put a dot right there in -5. That's pretty easy, right? Okay, let's try this one. Here we have 0, 1, 2, and -3. So for this one, it probably makes sense to put 0 somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to just put 0 here, and then I'm going to label it 1, 2, 3, and -1, -2, -3. If you have not done that, please do this in your book. You can pause the video and do that. All right, now I have to label all of these points. So I would put one on +1, which is right here. I'd put a dot on 0. I don't know why I'm doing this backwards. Put a dot on -3 and put a dot on +2. Great, that's pretty easy, right? Easy peasy. Okay, so now let's look at number 6. It says the data set +4, -1, -2, 0 shows the change in number of state representatives for 4 states after the last census. So what this means is, depending how many people live in a state, they get more or less representatives in Congress. Graph the change in number of representatives. Explain the meaning of 0 in the situation. So we have 2 things we have to do. Explain the meaning of 0, and we have to graph it. So let's graph it first. I want you to pause the video and I want you to label the graph in a way that all of these numbers would fit on there. Ready, go. Okay, so now we're going to have to label the graph in a way that fits for these numbers. So the biggest number is going to be +4. So I'm going to write a 4 here. 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, and -2. See, all my numbers fit here. Isn't that great? So now what I have to do is I have to graph all these numbers. Well, there's one at +4. Notice here there's a plus sign on 4, and we don't always put a plus sign when it's a positive number. But if it's just a number by itself with no sign, you can assume that's the same as +4. Then we have -1, -2, and 0. Okay, great. So again, this is showing the change in number of state representatives. So what do you think the change, what do you think 0 means? If this is showing a change, here they gained representatives, here they lost. What does 0 mean? Ready, go. Right, so 0 means no change, which means the population didn't change. There weren't any more or less people, and so they didn't have more or less representatives. Okay, now let's look at number 7. This has a table that has the low temperatures by states on a certain time. So I'm going to look at, we have -27, -29, -32, -34. That's really cold. And -30. So here we have -34. That's our coldest one. So I'm going to put that here, right? Because that's the lowest number. And then I'll just count from there. -33, 32, -31, -30, -29, oops, I can't draw, -28, -27, and -26. Great, so if you have not labeled your graph like that, please label your graph. Ready, go. All right, great. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to graph these numbers. So I'm going to come first. I see -27. So I find that, and that's over here. And if I look at this, -27 is the highest temperature. So this is high. Even though it's negative, that's the highest temperature compared to the others. Alaska is -29, which is over here. Connecticut is -32. New Jersey is -34. That is the lowest temperature, the coldest. And Virginia is -30 right in the middle. So yours should look like this. If not, please do it right now. Ready, go. All right, last one, guys, number 8. So it says the table shows the number of points earned for each action in a video game. While playing the video game, Kevin fell in the water, jumped over a rock, touched a cactus, and climbed the mountain. Graph the number of points he earned for each action in the number line. So let's look at all of these. And if I look at all these, I see that it ranges from -15, that looks like the lowest, to +10. And they all go by 5, so I'm probably going to graph and label this by 5. I'm going to put 0 in the middle, and then let's...
just go by 10. So this is 5, 10, and 15. Of course, my 5s, this doesn't work. Okay, and then for negative, I go -5, -10, and -15. So if you have not labeled your graph like that, please do it right now.
All right, and so now what I'd like you to do is I want you to graph all of these things on your graph. Got it? So you do it and then I'll do it and we'll see if it matches. Ready, go. All right, so you should have a graph that looks like, well, let's do it. -10, so he got one of those, boom. And +5 for walking over the ridge, great. Climbing a mountain, he got +10. Jumping over rock, he got another +5, great, it's already there. Walk through quicksand, oh, bad for you. And touch cactus is another -15. Okay, so that's what you should have. You should just have 4 dots on the line because we have some repeats. So if yours looks like that, please give yourself a pat on the back, and hopefully you kind of get this kind of thing and the idea of positive and negative numbers. Thank you. Have a great day.